Michael. Can't hear you, Michael.
And of course, once again, we have Bugs on the show. Welcome to the Power. I'm your host, Michael Bishop. Joining us tonight are the four phonies, Ricky Tay and Corey of their podcast. Thank you guys for joining us tonight.
Glad to be here, Michael.
Yes, glad to be here. Appreciate you inviting us.
It's always great to have you guys on, and I definitely had a lot of questions to ask y'all, especially what have you got coming up with your upcoming show? I mean, definitely, please share it here.
We just putting content out on a regular basis. We plan on, we're getting together to go to the Washington Commanders game.
No, that's the Titans game.
So, we know it's the Titans. We know we're talking about the Titans.
Okay.
We're saying where we're going to
Gotcha.
the Washington Commanders game.
Thank
and
you.
we're gonna be out there tailgating, do a live show kind of like we did last year at the home opener. Do some big things out there.
Sounds great, guys. Definitely excited to continue to see all the great work you put out. And we know that you're always keeping everybody fresh with perspectives and everything. So, love what y'all do. Keep doing what you're doing. We're very excited, especially knowing that it's a new season around the corner. So, that being said, we got a jam-packed show for you tonight. Let's not waste another minute and just jump right into it. I'm Michael Bishop. Welcome to the Power. Let's get to it. And we'll get to it with first, our top news. So first up, basically the biggest story of yesterday that broke out, John Metchie apparently has been diagnosed with a treatable form of leukemia, but the situation being unfortunate, he will be out for the season. Trying to get better from this unfortunate circumstance. Guys, I'll let you go ahead and take this topic and give your thoughts on it.
Yeah,
Ricky,
man.
we'll start with you.
Just unfortunate. I mean, young kid, and just any time you see where your career's derailed, and along with just the diagnosis itself, anytime, whether it's treatable and manageable, anytime they diagnosis, it just makes it tough. And, just praying for the guy and hope for a full recovery.
And that's hopefully what we can go for. This young man's life getting derailed from something that could be serious at this point, but we know along the lines, in this day and age, this is a treatable cancer, and it is going to be a long and hard road for him. But Corey, especially in situations like this, having a good, friend base, family base to help you get through these scenarios,
Right.
Along that line, I think what's the mindset that it will take for him to just try and be positive and move forward through this dark situation that he's in?
Absolutely, man. I don't know this receiver, this player, but I just know he has certain attributes just anybody could see to get him to where he's at the point where we're talking about him now. He's got I would imagine a very strong support system around him, good people. I mean, everybody wants to see him do what he's always done and shine, and all the things that he hadn't done yet. I mean, he has a tremendous impact that he's going to make on the lives of all kinds of people out there. But I fully expect him to attack this just like he would attack, learning the route tree, just like he would attack going out, getting ready for an opponent. I mean, he knows this is his life and his livelihood. So, I mean, I fully expect him to come back stronger than ever once he gets over the initial setback of what's going on with him.
And Tay, this young man's removed from a major injury back in the SEC championship, and it's unfortunate this is another situation that holds him back. But along those lines, you have to think just optimism is definitely high for him going forward, especially knowing with the support that he has.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a good support system down there with the Texans, with his former Bama family. This was a guy that I thought, we could have taken late at our position, taking a flyer on him. something kind of like we did with Jeffrey Simmons. And he could have been a good slot receiver, deep threat that the Titans needed. So I just pray for this guy that he gets better, recover. I know he's going to have a great support system, and everything's going to work out the way it's supposed to work out for him.
And that's what we definitely hope for this young man going forward. It's unfortunate, the situation that he's been placed upon, but we hope that it's a quick transition and that it's a scenario where he can get through quickly and with the support of his friends, family, and his teammates, that this is just a little bump in the road and nothing more.
Absolutely.
Right.
Hitting our next story, and of course, we got about 14 of them. It's been a tirade of just new helmets and throwbacks and alternatives all over the place.
Oh my.
Guys,
this story. I wasn't ready to see that red Texans helmet. That's kind of funky. I like that a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Delete that. I'm sorry. I don't like anything about that.
I promise you, it's just we're professionally talking about them. That's all. It does not reflect upon your fanship. I promise. But guys, I mean, really, it's just crazy with just how many throwbacks and how many alternative helmets we have. Do you think that this is a good thing for the NFL going forward, or is it going to be a little cluttered at the moment?
I think.
Go ahead, Ricky.
Well, I was just going to say, it's kind of good when you kind of work a few in at a time instead of just overdoing it, But considering the way the league has grown, and it's all about the money and the merchandise, the merch and everything. So, the teams, the fans are going to support it. So why not go ahead and just put it out there? I wish they had that old Oilers out there, but I don't see it out there. But yeah, I think money wise, and as for the merch, why not?
Yeah, I think some of it is to go, like Ricky said, for merchandising. Some is for the younger fans. They like the flashy uniforms. You see the youth uniforms, how kind of crazy some of those get. But me being up here in Charlotte, man, they're so happy to have those black helmets, to be able to wear like black helmets, black jerseys, black pants. That's their plan for the season, is to be in all black. I forgot the game they're gonna do that in, but they've already set the date that they're gonna be in all black. So I think that's gonna be pretty nice. But can somebody tell me who is that in the white with like the stripes? I don't even know who that is.
The Bengals.
Oh my goodness.
That's right. The Bengals will be rocking all whites with a white striped helmet. So
I like it. What I wasn't ready for, Michael, was to see the Titans on the list as I think the away uniforms were listed the worst in the NFL. I didn't get that. I mean, I like the white. I like our away gear, but apparently it's not up to par with the rest of the league. I don't know. They ranked us the worst on that.
Didn't we just tweak that? Didn't we just tweak our uniforms just a little bit with the numbers or something?
Yeah, we did
a couple of years ago.
We did on the baby blues, because I think the announcers were having trouble reading the font on it, so they had to make them larger.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago we changed. We just got those jerseys a few years ago. I went to the jersey reveal downtown. Right? Y'all remember that? They changed the numbers and but
and I mean, it doesn't even seem that long ago. I just remember that actually happening maybe just yesterday from my perspective. But we already know the Titans are going to unveil new helmets in 2023, especially with the Tampa Bay Bucks and an array of other teams. Unfortunately, it's just a merchandising situation where they couldn't get them out on time. Otherwise, we probably have a whole lot more, which really there's only 12 just in this picture, where they've actually got 14 unrevealed. I believe it's the Cowboys have just a white helmet with the regular Dallas Star on it. And I think the Washington Commanders, which everybody's already seen that. And I don't have that much room to put this. There's too many damn helmets. I don't have enough room.
That Atlanta one, is that a throwback? That seems familiar to me.
That's actually one of their old 60s throwbacks.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
like
Corey,
Chicago.
we'll start with you. Well, that was my next question, actually. We'll start with you and work our way up. Which one out of all the helmets are you excited to see, like, on the game field?
The Bengals. I'm ready to see that white and black right there. I just want to see what we do against them next time we play them. So I might as well say the Bengals. I actually like that helmet the new reveal on the helmet, but I'm more interested in seeing that helmet, the face mask looking at the sky, and it's the quarterback. What's his name? Joe Burrow.
Sure.
Yeah, I want
That's
to.
right.
I want to see that face mask pointed straight to the clouds, and I want to see Jeffrey Simmons get on top of him and help him up. Throw his hand out there and help him up. That'll be cool.
Yeah.
Say, how about you? Which one out of all these do you think looks the best?
Looks the best. Oh my gosh. I could be biased and go with the Patriots.
I knew you was about.
That's our Oakland Patriots.
Our alma mater high school has that helmet. I could be biased, but to be honest, I don't know why it just looked different. I kind of like the Saints one. I don't know why. Definitely don't like the Cowboys, but I like the classic. I like the Saints, I'll say, but I like the classic Falcons, and I like the classic Giants helmet with just the Giants name in big on the side. I like those.
I agree with you. I like that. That's going back to the Parcells, Lawrence Taylor days.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. When their defense was dominating, Phil Simms, Mark Bavaro, Joe Morris. Naming those players shows my age, but it is.
Oh man.
And Ricky, we'll finish with you, and I'll give you a different question completely. Which is the worst? Which is the worst helmet that's come out so far?
The one that I like, the black and the black Mac kind of looking. Is that black Max looking helmets? But that Jets helmet, that green, I'm not feeling it Jets for some reason. I don't know what it is. The green on there, it's something about that one. The Jets kind of stick out to me the way I don't like it. I'm kind of going back and forth with the Bears, but I like the orange pop, and they have a little bit of orange in their uniform where it'll pop a little bit. But I think the Jets.
And I could agree with that. I mean, really, the worst one out of all of them would be Arizona for me. I just think it's just a black helmet that they threw red glitter on.
Yeah.
So not very creative, but I get what they're going for, but don't undersell it to us. We're not stupid. You just threw glitter on a black helmet. Come on.
Right.
Yeah.
But regardless, teams are going to be doing throwback helmets or retro helmets, which, as you all said, it's a big business. They're going to make money off of it. And now that the rule's been lifted, the teams are going crazy.
Right.
Man,
Moving on to our
that Texans helmet, it looks like a bowling ball.
I won't disagree with that. Moving on to our next story. Now that Kyler Murray has received his contract, it seems that Lamar Jackson might be on board and ready to get his. Hopefully, potentially before the season starts. Guys, along those lines, what are we looking at for a contract that might look like for Jackson?
Is he negotiating his own contract?
He is. He's
his
acting as his own agent
or whatever.
That's right.
We had this discussion in the barbershop the other day, whether or not he's a better quarterback than Kyler Murray. And, and kind of, you kind of have to set that as the parameters or whatever, what his contract will be eventually. I kind of use that as a barometer, and what Watson received. He got all his guaranteed, which is crazy, but that's a whole nother topic. I don't know. We were kind of thinking anywhere from 45 to 50 million a year for that guy, because he's Mr. Everything for Baltimore. If he stays there, in that offense, they rely on him so much. I would assume it's anywhere from 45 to 50.
Tay, what would your take be, especially for a player that's already won an MVP?
My take is it is a great time to be a quarterback in the NFL. It is. It's, man. Yeah, I think his would be above Kyler. Like you said, he's won an MVP. He's won some playoff games. So I think his would be above just, this year, if he doesn't get the contract done right away, they'll look at how his passing percentages go up or anything like that. But it's hard to, if you feel like you got a franchise quarterback right now, it's hard to let him hit the free agent market because it's hard to find a franchise quarterback. And, we've, as Titans fans, we've actually seen that, the revolving door of quarterbacks that we drafted or brought in and stuff. So you want to keep that guy that you think is that franchise quarterback.
And Corey, I'll finish with you. On the grounds, basically, we found out earlier today that Kyler Murray has a stipulation in his contract to where he has to watch game film in order to earn a certain percentage of his money. So do you think that Baltimore might try and work something in there, like say his passing percentage has to be a certain amount somewhere where he could get a bonus or something like that?
I don't know enough about contracts to really give a knowledgeable answer on that, Mike, but I'm sure they would try it. I don't know how much leverage they have. I guess they've got as much as he has. I don't know. When I think about him being this high paid, this much, what am I trying to say? This high paid of a quarterback, I know he's Mr. Everything. I know he does it all. Half of me believes they'll struggle with pulling the trigger on the contract. And I'm probably wrong on that. I feel like he is, most of the franchise, but do they believe in it? Do they really believe in their quarterback enough to make him the highest paid quarterback in the game? I don't know. To me, it seems like they've always tried to better up him. And now it's time to pay him. Here's what I don't know. Do they have to have his deal done as the season starts?
No. Can I say this, Corey? In actuality, they did want to pay him this offseason, but he was kind of like he wasn't really just ready to sign.
Okay. So is he worth more now than he was earlier? You think he's asking for more after these quarterback deals have been done? Like the Kyler Murray, we've seen that contract. Did he make himself money by waiting?
I really think you look at the situation with what the quarterbacks have made right now. You have Aaron Rodgers, Kyler Murray at the moment that got paid pretty much in this free agent market. So if you're Baltimore, you already know you've got a year to get this worked out. But the question is, along the lines, do you feel confident enough to get something done before the season starts? Or if you delay it, will it potentially hold out and actually make him test the market to try and make them get on a deal quicker?
That's a good question. If I'm about to make Lamar the highest paid quarterback in the game, I either do it now or the question is, would he hold out? Does he have?
Well, he'll be a free if he doesn't sign, but at the end of this year, I meant before the season, and he'll be a free agent after next year.
That's right.
Right.
Okay.
He ain't got to hold out. Somebody will pay him.
So
do y'all feel that both of them, the franchise and him as their quarterback, are married to each other? Like basically both of them seem like they're built for each other. Could you see him going to another team and another team catering their offense around him the way Baltimore has?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there are different situations with different quarterbacks. I mean, Denver tailored their offense to Peyton Manning when he went there.
Yeah.
So really, it's along the lines of what team wants him bad enough to where they're willing to change their whole makeup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I just, when I think about Lamar Jackson, I think that I hadn't seen a running quarterback. Is he a running quarterback? And I never seen a running quarterback or someone that plays the brand of football that he plays, which is amazing. He plays with all his heart. I just hadn't seen them hoist that trophy up yet. And you show me a running quarterback or so-called running quarterback or someone they call a running quarterback besides Steve Young. I don't know if he's a running quarterback, but you just don't see him hoist that trophy. They don't win that Super Bowl. And that's what I keep thinking about. For some reason, I don't think Baltimore wants to marry long term for him to really be that guy.
But I think they could. One thing they may be trying to do now is you may be right, and they could be like, okay, now let's get some weapons around him, which the first couple of years, that receiving core wasn't great. Due to Andrews all the time. He made plays so with his legs and stuff. So maybe they're gonna get the receivers. Last year Bateman. I can't think of the receiver they drafted this season, and maybe they'll agree to go into this year, see what happens. Look at his percentages. Let him know we're gonna look at your percentages. Like Michael said, maybe there's a stipulation of him watching this much film. They know how much film he's watching.
Right. Yeah.
And Tay, you bring up a good point. I'm sorry, Ricky. Go ahead.
No, that was Corey.
Oh no. What I was saying, if I'm Lamar, I reach out to what was our defensive coordinator's name? I can't think of it anymore. Not the one we have now, but
Dean.
I'd reach out to Dean Pease like, look, man, I'll give you $5 million. Sign this non-disclosure agreement. Don't tell anybody how to defend me, because he done a number on
take away the middle of the field.
Give him the middle of the field. That's what he did. He let him run up and down in the middle.
I'm talking about throwing.
Oh yeah, man.
Make him throw outside.
That was a beautiful defensive game. But anyway,
yeah,
that's
what it was. And Ricky, I'll finish this off with you. Do you think with the addition of maybe a receiver that would help Jackson elevate his game, like say maybe trade for Deebo Samuels or even sign Julio Jones for a 1-year deal, do you think that could help speed up the process of signing Jackson long term?
Oh man, that's tough, because you see like Hollywood left, and they're friends or whatever. And he left just because he knew the offense wasn't catered for a receiver. So I still think, whether they get another big time receiver or whatever, I think it's still run first, pass to Andrews second, or hand off to one of those 2 or 3 running backs that they have in the backfield. So I honestly don't think that's going to play a big factor in the contract negotiations itself. So, and one thing I think, as for a receiver, I don't think a receiver really want to go there, because they know that, they're going to have to build their receiving corps through the draft, pretty much.
And those are great points. So, really, along the lines, the ball's in the Ravens' court. They're going to have to decide whether they want to get this deal done, or it's going to be a long, long season going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Moving to our next story, it appears that once again, NFL Sunday Ticket has been the hot ticket, with the likes of Apple, Disney, and even Amazon trying to put in a bid for the Sunday Ticket brand. It now appears that Google is throwing their hat in the race, which, if Google would obtain those rights, they would broadcast games on YouTube. So, guys, the NFL is definitely continuing to look at streaming services as a wave of the future, which, of course, it is. But which would be the right one for them? Is YouTube the best one out of the three that I've named?
I'll say YouTube. Just one thing, I got YouTube TV, and I would say if more people are able to get onto YouTube or access YouTube more often than the other streaming services. Not everybody's into the Apple streaming. I think they did a little bit with baseball this year, broadcasted some games on Apple streaming, but that's just the way of the world right now. The way everything's broadcasted. Amazon would actually be okay too. I think a lot of people get Amazon through Amazon. They have the Amazon Prime, getting those packages delivered, so they have access to that.
Would it be a paid service if it's a YouTube deal?
It'd be it'd basically be the same how DirecTV has it. So whoever would retain the rights to it, it would probably be about the same, but there'd probably be more bells and whistles depending on who has it. So
yeah,
the services is really just the big question.
Right.
Yeah, I wish they would make up their mind because I do have DirecTV and I enjoy DirecTV. And but that's one thing, kind of holding out to see which one of these streaming services will eventually get Sunday Ticket, because I gotta have it in my house. And I think with YouTube, I did try the YouTube TV and it worked really well, and it just seemed pretty seamless, just moving through the app and everything. So I think more than likely most people would gravitate to YouTube as well.
Hey Ricky, you live in Nashville, so why do you have to have Sunday Ticket in your house?
Well, unfortunately, I married a Saints fan, so we gotta have this. Listen, she's yelling "Who dat" in the background right now. So yeah, we gotta have the Sunday Ticket, and of course we gotta have the Red Zone as well. I like that. So, and that's one thing you gotta have the Sunday Ticket for as well on DirecTV. So
that's understandable.
Yeah.
And I mean, really, each streaming service comes with its pros and its cons. I mean, Disney eventually, they have ESPN, they have ABC, so they're all ready to go when it comes to sports. Amazon already has Thursday Night Football. Apple's streaming is continuing to grow, and of course, YouTube TV, as we've been talking about. It's pretty popular for the most part, and Google just about owns all the good stuff nowadays. But I mean, I've discussed this previously, and it's been an ongoing discussion throughout the weeks. And really, with Amazon, my biggest problem is I just feel that it would eventually be a conflict of interest, especially having Jeff Bezos potentially buying an NFL team and owning the rights to Thursday Night Football and potentially having this. Because
Wow.
I feel that he would have whatever games he would want on there more in his favor, especially if it's a team he owns.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Really good point.
I thought the whole thing
does it seem like it's too much? I mean, we're naming all these services, and somebody has Thursday night, one has Sunday night, and all this. I mean, it just, to me, I guess I'm kind of old school. Let's just go to ABC, ESPN, network. It seems like but it's all about the money once again, and what's going to bring those subscribers. So it's great.
And that's basically the point. It's about trying to find the best deal, who's going to pay the most money, which I think last week as it was reported that Apple was in the lead for this, and then eventually YouTube just came out of nowhere. So really, it's just been an unending discussion of news, but I guess that's a win for the NFL.
Absolutely.
Right.
But speaking of the NFL and streaming, as it was announced today, the NFL is now coming out with their own streaming service. So NFL Plus will come out as of today. You can subscribe and basically watch games anywhere in the market. They have different subscriptions that you can subscribe to. You can do the monthly bill. You can do the weekly bill. I believe for the regular, it's $4.99 a month and it's $4.99 a week. and I think $39.99 annually. And I think with premium, it's $7.99, and then it's $79.99 for the year, from what I'm seeing. So this is definitely groundbreaking in terms of like bringing something sport-wise to fans that want access to football, but really aren't really near a TV. So, guys, is this really a game-changing app for the NFL right now?
I'm trying to understand exactly what I mean. You have access to the games, live games throughout
Basically,
the year, throughout the season.
Throughout the season, you would have access to live games. They would do preseason games anywhere in the country. And during the regular season, you would have access to live games and even postseason games.
So that sounds like Sunday Ticket itself, right?
Basically, it's Sunday Ticket just with a bunch of bells and whistles. Because I believe they also have they have other programs that you can watch. They have like the coach film segment that you can watch all 22 coaches that are involved in like breaking down film.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I would expect them to have some stuff we hadn't really seen before, as far as content being brought. As far as the games, it's probably not any. You couldn't pick and choose any game you wanted to watch, because like Ricky said, that'd be direct ticket.
My thing is, it's saying the NFL app. So would this only be an app on the phone, or would it be an app on the TV also? Maybe that's the difference, that Sunday Ticket is actually, you can watch it on TV, but this NFL Plus is only accessed on the app on the phone.
And that's basically what I'm reading right now. They're saying that it's accessible to phones and tablets, but as well as live audio broadcasts of the game. So you'd have access to that. You'd have access to local games and to primetime events throughout the regular season and even the postseason, which I would have to say the Super Bowl is not going to be included in that, which would be a downer. But, like they got to make their money.
Right.
Interesting. Just another avenue, man. Another revenue stream. I think. I don't know. I don't fully understand. I've seen that logo. I've seen them talk about it briefly. I didn't chime in and pay attention to what the features were, and so I'll get educated on the NFL Plus. See what I would think they have some stuff on there that we hadn't seen, besides other programming that or other things you could pull up by just, what do you call it, direct demand or on demand, and some stuff that's not readily
NFL
available.
classics.
Yeah, all that
like
library. Or maybe sitting in a couple of meeting rooms or training camp, for different teams you hadn't seen on the other show that comes on Hard Knocks.
Hard Knocks or something. Yeah.
And I'd definitely be in favor for that. If you had access to those shows.
Yeah, give me the time. Let me see Vrabel in on some two-a-day stuff. That'd be cool.
I mean, even if they had like the collection of like sound bites that they do for like just different players and coaches, I'd be fine with that too. Yeah, I enjoy that.
I'll check that out.
Yeah.
So really along the lines, it's just the NFL jumping on the streaming wagon. And, as long as they're giving customers something they don't get normally, then I'm fine for it.
Yeah.
It's really just along the lines, you want what you pay for. And in this sense, we hope that we have games that are like broadcast to the best of their abilities. Of course, the NFL's making their real money through all their TV partners, and that's not going to change anytime soon. But at least the NFL is being viable and trying to be trend-setting, especially when it comes to finding ways to get their customers the games they want to watch, but especially if they're not anywhere near television, because nowadays most of us are on the go.
Right.
That's true. Very true.
So in the long run, hopefully this works out. Hopefully it's a scenario that everybody can have an opportunity to actually use this, and it'll grow and be trend-setting, especially for other sports to actually look at this venue and say, maybe we should try this as well.
Yeah.
NFL always they'll try something first. And,
They got to pay all these players, man.
yeah, and that's one thing I hope that it is doing is the players are getting compensated for these new avenues that are, this app and whatever streaming services buy it. I hope the players are getting compensated and not just the owners getting compensated off of this.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick 30-second break. When we come back, we got our bags packed. We're going camping. We'll break down everything that we want to talk about, what the big stories about training camp are going to be. So sit tight for 30 seconds. I'm Michael Bishop of the Power. We'll be back in 30. The Power Hour is on the air, live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. I'm your host, Michael Bishop, and thank you for joining us on this Monday evening. We are getting ready to get on the cusp of training camp. Joining me tonight are my good friends, Ricky, Trey, and Corey of PHONIES Podcast. Guys, it is great to have you in tonight and talk football.
Great to be here.
Great to
Glad
be
here. Yep.
You've got so many comments, and I'm going to try and get through them real quick. I just like getting the conversation in. I like everybody's commenting. Welcome into the show. Shout out to my mom. Always a great viewer, always a great friend on the show. Titan Rossi coming by saying hey to me and our good friend the Phonies.
Hey.
Titan Rossi.
Shout out to P Shark. What's good, Power Hour and 4 Phonies. And we've got our buddy Lou Man coming in. Always great seeing Lou Man. 615 Podcast. Make sure you check out his show on Wednesdays. Always a good watch. Lou Man has definitely always got some pretty good opinions, especially saying east, west, north, south. He's pointing in the Titans' directions.
Let's go.
So he is definitely fired up. And our buddy 615 Podcast says Treylon Burks is in shape at camp, and I promise you, we're going to get to that, man. We have got so many thoughts about that, so I promise you that it's going to be good.
He been with
Blue
Rick.
Man saying,
Rick. I'll go ahead. I'm sorry.
Blue Man's breaking out the AM radio, sleeping bag, and the popcorn. Definitely ready for camp, and our good buddy Al Pierce, always in the show, shouting out to Rossi. But good seeing you, Al. Definitely don't get to see a whole. But guys, once again, thank you for being on the show tonight, and I wanted to give you a chance to shout out to the fans, to let them know where to find your content and where they get that good info at.
Shout them out, Corey.
We can be found all over the place, Mike, man. 4 Phonies, the number 4 Phonies, talking Titans on all platforms, anywhere you get your podcasts. I get mine from Apple Podcasts because that's just me. Ricky, will you Android? I'm just kidding.
No,
we're on.
I'm in blue.
Oh yeah. Come on, help me out with those platforms. Oh, Instagram. We're really active on Instagram under 4 Phonies. Twitter. Tay does an excellent job with our Twitter account. He's always getting into some madness on Twitter. Check it out. Follow us on there.
Not as much as I would if I did more tweets than stuff that I see. Sometimes I have to hold back and say, "Don't tweet that. Don't tweet that.
Don't press in.
Don't comment."
Yeah, but yeah, that's
Facebook.
what we are.
We're on Facebook.
Absolutely on Facebook, and sometimes we even go live and do our live show, broadcasting it from Facebook. So I appreciate you shouting that out, Mike.
Guys, definitely want to get you shout out. You call yourselves 4 Phonies, but you're too legit in my eyes.
That's a good one.
What is it?
Well, all right, everybody. It's camp time. So let's pack our bags. Let's rough it out there. We're going camping. As we all know, the Tennessee Titans are starting their training camp the 27th. All players will be reported there. Rookies are already there at the moment, as far as I know. So basically, this season, there's so many questions. Really, basically on offense, I don't think there's a lot of questions about the defense going forward, except who wants to hate on them on social media or whatever platform. But we're not about that. We're about the appreciation here. So along the lines, I think a lot of questions are going to start with the offense. And in my opinion, there's really 6 big questions going into training camp. So we'll go ahead and start at 6 and work our way up. So, guys, all the info you can give me, let's go for it.
All right.
So first off, I'm really interested in this one. And when it comes to punters, I believe Brent Kern is definitely, if not one of the top 3, but maybe even the best punter in the league. His consistency has definitely helped Tennessee be a steadfast position going forward. But along the lines, you have to think somewhere where his age continues to go up, you have to try and find a replacement. And this is a league of competition. And when you compete, you're trying to find the best. And the Titans may potentially have a guy in Ryan Stonehouse from Colorado. So looking at this battle, and I'll go ahead and start with Corey. I'll go ahead and start with you and work our way up.
Oh, that is the perfect person.
Perfect.
He loves
Man, they always give me a hard time, man. They say I talk too much. I know I don't finish thoughts. I'll just start a new sentence out of nowhere. It's in my brain, but hey, go ahead. Shoot, dog. What is it?
That's all right, man. All thoughts have to be formulated, and believe me, I'm going to give you a good one to think about. So along the lines, is this the year where the Titans might be potentially replacing their punter?
I don't want to call it replacing because Kern is the king. Until that old leg stops putting the ball exactly where he wants it, it's going to be his job. Now, if he strains a groin or a hamstring or something like that, I am excited that we've got a kid that will be, under his tutelage almost, kicking with him every day. He'll see some of the tricks Kern has, or some tidbits, some best practices. Plus, he's been doing it all his life, anyway. So it's a good situation to have 2 punters that one being the heir apparent, one being the king on the hill. But not quite yet. We're close, but not quite yet.
But how do you hold that roster spot for that?
You don't.
For that punter. Yes.
That is a fair point.
Yeah.
He's gonna be on the 53.
You make him hold the ball for field goals, and he better be able to throw a spiral for fakes. And what else?
Oh, you were putting that kid to work.
Yeah, he's got to work, man. He's got to be valuable before he's actually out there kicking for us on 4th down. He's got to do some other things to stay on the roster.
So am I reading this correctly to where this is Kern's last year under contract? Is that correct?
I think so.
I would have to check on that, but I think his contract is coming up.
Yeah, I knew it was either this year or next year.
I thought he recently signed a 1-year deal. Did that not happen last year?
I'm looking at, for this season, his base is $2.2 million, and then it has a free agent in 23. If that's up to date, so
that's probably
that's what I have.
Okay.
I have that. So this would be his last year. So if the Titans were to look at a kick or a punter at this point, I mean, this wouldn't be a bad option right now. Especially They could save about $2 million if they decided to opt out and cut him.
And that could be the determining factor in camp.
But this is what I thought I heard. I remember this. He reworked his deal coming into 2022. So he took a pay cut for 2022. And that was going to be the last year of a 3-year extension he signed in 19. So this year's the last. Yeah, this is his last year. But he lowered his contract coming into this season. He reworked it. What are you laughing?
You said
laughing?
You said that. You said all that to agree with Michael and Ricky that this is his last year.
Oh hell, I was looking it up. I couldn't listen to them and look it up at the same time.
He was deep in thought. I understand. He was deep in thought.
Now, Michael,
Google is my friend
on a regular basis.
But basically, this year is interesting, especially with the perspective. The Tennessee Titans are going to try and compete because that's the message here. It's always about competition. They're trying to find the best at whatever position they need to. And eventually it's a position of upgrade if potential. So along the lines, and Ricky, I'll give this one to you. What would be the option going forward to see if this is a year to do that kind of replacement? Is Stonehouse going to have to show that he's going to outboot Kern just about every chance that he gets?
Yeah, I think preseason. He Kern probably won't even play in preseason. Possibly, I don't know how it worked with kickers, to be honest, in the preseason. But I wouldn't expect Kern to have to do a lot of leg work, no pun intended, and let the is he a rookie? This kick, the other.
Stonehouse is an
Stonehouse.
an undrafted free agent. So
okay, so yeah, I think they just put the ball in his hand in preseason and let him work. In my opinion.
Of course, the biggest thing that most punters have to do, they have to walk around with just self entitlement, wearing their hat like they don't care. You got to look good doing that, and Brett Kern does that very well.
Yeah.
He plays good golf. He does a lot in the community, helping scramble teams win. He's valuable.
Exactly.
He's very valuable.
But of course, Brett Kern has he has kept Jeffrey Simmons in line, especially not giving him a high five coming off the sideline. So,
oh yeah, he's gone.
And in the comments, we definitely have some opinions. 615 saying, "Don't be surprised if Kern is a surprise cut." And of course, Al Pierce saying Kern is eating up cap space, isn't he? I mean, about $2 or $3 million worth. I don't think it's a lot, but I mean, if the Titans feel like that's money they could be using elsewhere, I don't see that as a problem, especially going forward. Lou Man saying Kern is done. I don't know if he's done. I think maybe done here if Stonehouse comes out and just destroys it punting.
I don't get this conversation. How do you go from being the best in the game to done in a year? Did he fall off bad? Are we complaining about his output? I don't understand why his job is going to be taken by an unproven rookie.
Ricky, was it last year or the year before that you were questioning some of Kern's punts? He had some shanks at some critical times.
I think it was the year before. I think
it was, and really, he has battled through some injuries, of course. Yes.
Yeah, man.
So, I mean, when it comes to a chance to bring in youth and somebody that has a stronger leg, I mean, here's a battle. It's camp. Everybody should be fighting for their job.
You're right, man.
It could just boil down to a business decision at the end of the day of saving that money.
Yeah, right.
You might be right.
And our good friends Gary and April from What's Shaking Titans saying, I don't see him being done. We'll see, guys. I mean, really along the lines, it's finding the best player at that position. And if Stonehouse is better than Kearns, that could be a way they go. But we'll see how that goes.
Right.
Moving on.
And just back to that point, does he have to be that much better than Kern or just prove that he can get the job done? You know what I'm saying? For them to move on from Kern, but we can move on from them if we need to.
Well, that's a great question, and I'll go ahead and give you an answer for that. I really think if he overexcels from what Kern is potentially doing right now, then you kind of have to weigh those options. Because if you can add a younger player at a lesser salary and get better output, you go for it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is he good? Was he good in college?
Yeah.
He was very good.
Right.
Okay. Tell me something. Okay. I didn't know.
But there's definitely potential there, but it'll be an interesting battle as we move forward going to that training camp session. But along the lines, one of the other biggest things that most people have a question about is the Tennessee Titans offensive line, especially getting off to a horrendous start early in the season. Now it seems that they feel that potentially maybe they've got enough moving forward. Signing Jamarco Jones from the Seattle Seahawks was maybe one of the smaller moves on the offensive line. But going out and drafting Nicholas Petit-Frere and potentially even seeing what Dylan Radins is going to do in a long-term setting. So, Ricky, I'll start with you. When it comes to the offensive line, who's going to fit in just about the open positions that we need that would be the best option?
I mean, in a perfect world, we call him Marshall Dillon. We would hope that he would be our right tackle. I think in a perfect world. Well, hold up. Let me take that back because Nicholas, he played what, left or right in college? He played right.
I think he played both.
He did play both.
Yeah. So I think, but yeah, back to that. I think in a perfect world, Dylan, day one, be your starter at right tackle. And then at the left guard spot, I think if Jones can plug and play, that would be great. But Brewer, I think he has a say-so in that as well. I think those two would be battling it out for that left guard position. So in a perfect world, I would hope that Dylan is ready to step in and take that right tackle position.
Tay, what would your take be?
My starters would be Lawan, Brewer, Ben Jones, Nate Davis, and Dylan. I think Dylan last year, when he started in San Francisco game, going into that game, that was a big question mark once we found out Lawan wasn't going to play. We're throwing Dylan out there. Earlier, he had had some okay times, and he had some bad times. So we thought going up against Bosa that this guy, he's going to struggle. He's going to need help out there. But he made Bosa flip to the other side because he was whooping Bosa. So I think Dylan, I think Dylan and Brewer, those jobs are for y'all to lose. I think the coaching staff would prefer y'all to win those jobs. Y'all have been there. Y'all know what's going on. Kind of keep a little bit of cohesiveness amongst the line. And, it was like last year, we thought Dylan was going to get that right tackle and he didn't. But, it's your job to lose this year, Dylan.
And Corey, when it comes to, a team that's like trying to piece together an offensive line, especially after losing Roger Saffold basically to a cut decision, you have to think in order to keep King Henry efficient, you have to have an offensive line that's going to be, a little bit gritty and have a little bit of experience. So
yeah, do
you feel the best spot for Radins would be at that position that Saffold has left open at this point? And maybe you take Petit-Frere at that tackle position, or would you potentially go out and see if you could sign somebody?
Options always open as far as personnel. I think John does a great job with looking at what's out there and always trying to get the roster better. But as far as Marshall Dillon, I like the idea of him being, honing in on one position, because we always talked about him being versatile, and he's been moved around. He hadn't given them quite what they wanted in any position going into to last season, throughout last season. But I believe he's been working exclusively at the right tackle position as of late. And so that's kind of what I want to see, is him make one position his home. And so if it's right tackle, if that's what they've settled on, I'd like to see him go and get that position and be that starter. I really would. As far as the starting offensive line, I agree with Tay. I have a question a little bit about Brewer. I'd like to see the competition there, as I think that, I think Brewer has to go and get that position, but he's going to have a lot of competition there for that spot. But I do like the overall depth of the line more so than I have in a long time. I think they've got some quality guys that they brought in from other teams, as well as some undrafted free agent kind of guys that seem like they could come in and be nice pieces of a rotation.
Yeah. I'm hoping Brewer gets back to I guess it was his rookie year 2 years ago when he had to sub in for Saffold, and he was surprisingly doing a good job in there. Last year when he subbed in, not as great, missed some blocks. So maybe that was just, kind of not being in shape last year. Maybe he's gotten in shape this year. I agree with you, Corey. The line depth looks a lot better this year than it has in previous years.
And something we never talk about is an improvement by Taylor Lewan. I think we should see a Taylor Lewan that's better off of that knee injury another year. I think he feels more like himself now. He's made that comment several times. He looks to be excited to get back to work, get back in there, and kind of prove himself. Other than last season, I don't think he's very happy with his production.
Good point.
And 615 Podcast gives his prediction, saying the right tackle position goes to Radens. And I think we'll definitely see a bunch of position battles, maybe even right around when the first couple of preseason games come around, just to see who's going to be comfortable in that position. The biggest thing is it's just finding the right starting 5 players that are going to make this offensive line work.
Right.
Yeah.
They got to all be on the same page.
Mike, I think you like the kid from Ohio State. I think you want to plug him in there. I can see it in your face.
I'm definitely interested to see if he could get some time in, but it's really just along his development. Is he ready to play at that level? And I know there's been some scouts that have said, he didn't do as well at Ohio State. So it's really a question of, can he get ready in a mindset and physically to be prepared to play in the NFL at that position, which, I've seen guys play not so well in college and then go out and evaluate what they've done wrong and then elevate themselves to higher levels just because of that criticism.
I kind of
coached up a little better.
I like the, we got Dylan, we got Nicholas, young guys, and that's like getting us potentially prepared for the days that we don't have Lewan. If those guys prove themselves, that could be a next year decision or the year after that decision to let Lewan go and go that route instead of, okay, we got to look and see who's on the free agent market. We got in-house guys that can step in and do the job.
Yeah.
And that's going to be interesting next year because along the lines, are they going to hold on to Lewan, as you said, or are they going to try and draft a new player? Or are they going to go out in free agency? The key component is when you have a player like Derrick Henry, you have to have a strong offensive line in front of him to produce the results you need.
Right.
Yeah, it's true.
And along those lines, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I apologize. And you have to keep Tannehill upright. I mean, because he got beat up a lot last year as well. We were still able to run the ball, but we got to pass protect, especially with new passing. What's he called? New passing coordinator. Yeah.
And I think Tim Kelly will do a good job at that position. And Todd Downing's seat is very hot at that offensive coordinator position. So he already knows he's going to have to produce this year.
All I ask is the receivers run 6 yards when we got 3rd and 4 instead of running 3 yards on their route.
Yeah.
Just got to have some creativity. And I'm hopeful that Kelly's going to help with that because it seems like our passing offense was pretty anemic. I don't really think there's many places to throw the ball. I don't think guys got open. I don't think the offense was Well, I don't want to talk about that right now. I'm sorry.
We won't. We'll try our best not to relive all
I'm
that.
sorry. I almost took you down a whole nother rabbit hole, and that's what I
Yeah,
did.
you was on your way.
I was on my way.
But in the terms of playmaking abilities, the Titans have a pretty big question, especially with who they're going to spend time sharing snaps with one of these potential running backs, with Dontrell Hillard, and of course their new guy, Hassan Haskins, coming from Michigan. So, Ricky, who in your mind would be the best option at running back 2 going for the long-term haul in this upcoming season?
Whoever can pick up the blitz the best. I think, Hillard showed a lot last year. He really did. And I'm excited to see him kind of have the 1-2 punch with Henry. I think with what's his name, Haskins, the rookie, they say he's a kind of a straightforward runner that's going to get the tough yards, whether you need a 1 or 2 yards or whatever. So I still think, especially on certain downs, even if it's passing downs, I'm not sure how Haskins can catch out of the backfield. So I think Hillard would probably step into that role initially, and be that running back number 2.
And Tay, along the lines, the Titans have tried finding a running back that can catch out of the backfield. Not able to replicate that with Dion Lewis or even Evans from Appalachia State. You have to think along those lines that one of these guys could actually be that versatile back that the Titans have lacked for so many years.
Yeah, I'm hoping I'm going to become that guy. Sometimes on third down, especially when it's 3rd and 4, I don't like when Derrick Henry comes off the field. He actually can catch out of the backfield. It makes us more predictable that we are going to actually throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as those guys, who's going to be running back number 2, I would kind of like to see both of them getting in there, getting some action. As Ricky said, it's about being able to pick up the blitz. That's a huge part of getting your playing time. And I would like I remember last year, I can't remember the game. It was one time we had like Foreman in the eye back, and we had Hilliard like at a flanker spot, offset back position. That gave us a lot of flexibility right there, and I think we got like a big play out of it, but Downings never went back to that formation. And I like to see, Hilliard and Derrick Henry in the backfield together also at the same time.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by creativity. To your point, why not? Let's use some of these guys, not be so predictable by bringing Henry out, putting one of those in, have them in at the same time sometimes.
Right. Mm-hmm.
What are we going to do now? I wouldn't know if they had them out there at the same time. I'm like, wow, what is this play? I watch a lot of Titans football, but I wouldn't know what that was in a split eye. I don't know. So I like Hilliard's speed. I think he popped one and took it all the way last season. So you like that, being able to hit that home run and not get caught. That's special. That's Derrick Henry like. But I think everybody's liking what they see. And, the pads hadn't been on, but everybody liked what they saw out of the rookie running back. Yeah. So I think, be plenty of competition. And I think we've upgraded that position, in my opinion. Hopefully they can stay healthy.
And all those are great points. I mean, really, along the lines, veteran experience is the key factor, especially when you're trying to make a lineup. But along those other perspectives, Haskins had some very dominant games, especially against Ohio State, and I do take that into consideration.
Right. I like Haskins. He's in the mode of Derrick Henry. Actually, he's a big running back compared to what you see in running backs nowadays. The smaller guys that are going to get you maybe 20 carries a game and 5 to 10 catches out of the backfield. That's their touches. This guy is somebody you can line up and just hand it off to. And I hope Hilliard is still hungry like he was last year. He came in and he ran hungry. I hope he's running hungry again this year.
And he definitely has a chance to just be elusive if he gets the opportunity to see the field. And once again, it comes down to the offensive coordinator, Todd Downings. Do something creative. You have a lot of creative pieces. Get them involved.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Agree. And another thing I think that we'll see is also with the tight end position, having somebody that's flexible like Chig. He may be lining up in the backfield some, starting in the backfield, motioning out, creating different mismatches, something similar to Jonathan Smith used to do.
And that's going to be a very key factor, especially with this offense. Adding a tight end, especially two tight ends, in a position where the Titans lack so desperately playmaking abilities.
Right.
But speaking of playmaking abilities, we already got an idea of what our receiving core is. We know Bobby Trees, Treylon Burks, and NWI are going to be the key wide receivers at this point. So the biggest question, especially in the receiver room, who's going to be the next man to step up here? And Ricky, we got like a slew of guys that have an opportunity to be playmakers.
Yeah. I mean, all I'm hearing is Kyle Phillips. So, I mean, they say his route running, a smaller Cooper Cup. So I want to see it, and if he's that guy anywhere close to it and he can develop to be a mini Cooper Cup, then that's the guy I want to see on the field, and hopefully he can step up and take that slot position, and be reliable, kind of like what we wanted out of Adam Humphries when he was here. So that's the guy that I'm kind of keen on in that role.
Now, I would settle for a Dollar General version of Danny Amendola.
I like that.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I will too.
Yeah. So if he can be that guy similar to, those old Patriot ways where you got that slot that just can't be covered, getting 10 or 12 catches a game, then hey, I want him to be that guy.
And Tay, one wide receiver that most people are going to keep their eyes on is especially the second-year player in Des Fitzpatrick. And you have to think that this year is a make-or-break situation for him.
Yeah, like last year, I was thinking Des Fitzpatrick was going to come in, compete for the third receiver, get that fourth receiver spot definitely. I think he saw by getting cut last year and then brought back on the practice squad that nothing's automatic for you. You have to work and put in the work. This year is a lot more. I think it's a lot more competition on that back end of the receivers than it was last year. And Fitzpatrick, you've been down there working with Tannehill, so you got to translate it onto the field and see what happens. But there's a lot of guys that can take your spot.
And Corey, the wide receiver room is completely different from what we had last year, no doubt about that. But going forward into this year, what are your expectations for the wide receiver group?
Man, I'm really excited about this core receivers. I mean, you have to be if you're a Titans fan, because it's almost like they've had to start all the way over, starting from scratch. It looks bleak at times when we look at the rookie and some of the troubles he had in the preseason, in the offseason stuff, rookie, whatever it was. But it's almost like the expectations are low for this group, because going into last season, all we were talking about was A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. And we started out like very high in our expectations, and it didn't live up to that. We had a lot of injuries, and we ended up, those guys weren't on the field most of the time. So coming into this season, expectations are quite lower, but we've got some young talent and some hungry guys that I think is going to be an exciting group to watch come together. I think our quarterback's motivated to get that last game behind him and to show what he can do. I think we've got some talented guys. I like Rontae mentioned, Fitzpatrick working out with Tannehill, in the offseason. He needs that. He needs that work. He needs the mental side of what's going on out there during the game or during a read. He's gonna really have to hone in on those types of things, the mental part of the game. I think that's such an important part for these young receivers to be able to grasp in meeting rooms and in this what do you call it, in camp, just getting a real grasp of what they're doing out there and to be able to make the changes on the fly when the game's going on. So I say all that to say I'm excited about this young group. I'm excited about Phillips. I hope he stays fearless as he was in college. I hope he competes for that punt return slot, and maybe he can shine and show why he needs to be out there on offense. So I think he'll have a chance of starting right off the bat at punt returner, but we'll see.
And that will definitely be an interesting scenario going into camp. Our good friend, What's Shaking Titan, says they're really excited to see Kyle Phillips and what he can bring, but at the same time, he looks forward to seeing Woods, Burks, and what they'll add to their offense. And of course, bringing that up comes up to our next big question at 2, and it's really a big one, especially at wide receiver. The Tennessee Titans have basically been cursed when it comes to drafting in the first round of wide receivers. They never seem to develop correctly, or they never seem to pan out. It's always been one scenario or the other. So, Corey, I'll give this to you. Can Treylon Burks be that breakout star that Tennessee has been so desperately trying to find in the first round at wide receiver position?
I believe he can. I'll say yes, he can. He's got natural gifts that just can't be coached. The it's a big guy. He's already got a huge size advantage over most people he's going against. We've seen him shine in the SEC. We've seen him have great games against the top DBs in the game. And, what's changed? I mean, he's young. He's got a lot to learn, and he has to learn how to be a pro. But yeah, I think he has the pedigree and the natural gifts and blessings to be able to break that curse.
And Tay, it's really been a crazy off season, especially with Burks trying to get on the field, which has been nearly impossible for him to do, with a variety of reports of him going through asthma and just not being in shape. Really, it just feels like it's almost just gloom and doom just from the start, but you have to try and find some positive vibes there. Do you think it was really just a scenario of him just not being in NFL shape, or really was there an asthma problem?
I think it was more of not being in shape, which if you are not in shape and that Tennessee heat hits you with all that pollen in the air, that could trigger some asthma attacks, or it could have been allergies. Who knows? But I wasn't just overly worried about it. I was more worried if he wasn't on the field at this time during training camp. That's where I needed him to be. He's an athlete. He knows based off what his coach said, his college coach said he wasn't in shape his sophomore year. But these kind of guys, it doesn't really take them that long. A month, they can get in shape. He saw it's real. I need to go get in shape. I need to do the right things. I need to eat right. As long as he keeps his weight down, stays in shape, I see big things for this guy, and I think he can end the curse of us drafting a wide receiver in the first round.
And it's already been reported by Diana Rossini of ESPN that he's basically in shape at this point. Everything looks like it's on the up and up. He'll be ready for camp. And Ricky, I guess the biggest question for you to fill this one out, it's interesting to know that with all the first round picks the Titans have used with wide receiver, it just hasn't panned out. But along the lines, Burks could be the exception, especially with just his physical talent, his speed, and even just the way he attacks going downfield. So really, if you're the Titans, what's the best way to go forward and to make sure that he doesn't have to be AJ's replacement, but still understand his role is important with this team?
First of all, I see how you keep emphasizing first round, and because we had that in the second round, we did hit. But anyways, you just mentioned that guy's name, AJ Brown. But I think they're still gonna have to bring him along kind of slowly. I still think he's going to get a lot of reps in the preseason. And going back to what Ronte said about being worried initially, I pretty much feel the same way. As long as he show up in camp when Thursday, is it Wednesday or Thursday when they start, I'll feel a lot better about his conditioning and where he's at. But I still think to kind of ease the pain and kind of ease him into the system, they'll probably bring him along a little bit slowly. And they may try to prove a point with him to let him know how to become a pro, and bring him along where they kind of treat him like he's not that guy, and to where if Woods is available, he's taking a lot of the snaps, him and NWI, and maybe even somebody like Cal Phillips being ahead of him initially until he does learn how to be a pro. So I think they'll bring him along a little bit slowly, in my opinion.
My point is, I agree with you, Ricky. They'll bring him along slowly. And, AJ was mentioned. He doesn't have to just come in and do the production of AJ. I think it's going to take multiple guys to equal that production, which really 2 guys can equal that production because it was only 63 catches AJ had last year. Mm-hmm. That's not a lot of catches for 2 guys to get like 30 catches. I can see, just put Woods and Burks. I can see those 2 guys combining for more than 63 catches this season.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great factor. I mean, replicating AJ's catches isn't a hard feat. They have the talent, what they brought in through free agency and through the draft, where they can find a way to replicate it. It once again falls on the shoulders of Todd Downing to execute the plays in order to make sure that his players actually know that they can actually be more than a vanilla team.
Right. Yeah.
And finally, go ahead.
No, I was saying it's going to be interesting to see all those components come together. You think about the new tight ends. You think about having a guy coming up with wiggle in the slot. It's going to be a totally new offense, or at least a totally new looking passing offense. We hope. Along with the coordinator,
right.
we need to switch it up.
Yeah.
Just hopefully it's an effective and efficient passing offense.
Right.
Yeah.
Hopefully it works well to kind of ease the burden off of Henry, just pounding him for 30 carries, 25, 30 carries a game. Hopefully that passing offense, and like you said earlier, the 2 running backs can ease that load off of him.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
And which it brings us to our number 1 question. And I had to rack my brain around this one because there's so many different scenarios where we could have gone number 1. We could have gone with Ryan Tannehill's mindset. We could have gone with Derrick Henry's full health. We could have gone with the tight ends. We could have gone with Todd Downing. There was just a slew of these that we could have just picked through. But really, I think along the lines from the fans' perspective, and this is probably the question that's going to be on their minds going into camp. So with that being said, what is Malik Willis's role going to be this year? And it's like having a new toy. You're excited, you want to get out, you want to play with it, but it's not assembled yet.
Right.
So along those lines, and Corey, I'll let you start with this one. Malik Willis is still learning the basics. What are we to expect with him going into this training camp? What are we hoping to see that he can bring out as a quarterback right now with his time where he's been learning?
Excuse me. Oh, man, to me, hopefully, I'm looking at him, not hearing a lot out of him as far as news. I'm looking for him to learn and to soak up, learning how to be a professional and getting a good grasp of the offense. I'm looking for an exciting preseason game or two out of him where he shows Titans fans everywhere what's coming, what's what he's got. Give us some, hit on a couple of exciting plays, show that strong arm, show yourself getting out of trouble with your legs and making a couple of great plays. But hopefully he's not having to play. I'm wanting Ryan Tannehill to be our QB1 for the full season and to finally win a Super Bowl.
Tay, what would your take be?
Well, my take is, I'm hoping like week 2, Malik takes. Nah, I'm just playing. I love this question just because Phony Tory was up here visiting me this past weekend, and he posed the question, will they put some gadget plays in for Malik, certain packages in for him? And we talked about it. We kicked it around. Yeah, it could happen. Then at the end, I kind of was like, I don't really want to see that kind of stuff with him this year. I want him to sit back and learn and prove to the coaches during practice that, if he needs to take over next year, if that's the decision, next year is his year, that they have all the confidence in him that next year is his year. And Tory agreed too that this year, basically agreeing with what Corey said. This year, we want Malik to sit back, learn, improve each week in practice because, he'll probably be on the scout team. So just continue to improve, soak up all the knowledge you can on the sidelines when they're breaking down the plays during the game, and just learn this year. I don't want you out there. I hope you are not out there, other than possibly if you win the number 2 spot, we're blowing somebody out and you get some snaps that way.
And you bring up a good point with the scouting team, which I'll leave this question with Ricky. What is the best option for the Titans at the quarterback position to carry 3 quarterbacks to eventually evaluate and move Malik up to the 2nd spot if he is ready during this training camp spot? What would be the best option?
Man, that's a good question. And that's exactly what I was asking myself while Corey and Rante was talking, because I'm like, okay, do you carry 3, which would take away from depth at another position? If we have depth on the O-line or the D-line or anywhere else, do you hope he can beat out Logan Woodside and become that second QB2? But then you're like, dang, if something happened to Tannehill, we hate to throw him in the fire this early. So, it's tough, man. I think you almost have to keep 3 quarterbacks and allow him to sit and learn, from Woodside as well. I mean, he's been with the organization long enough, and hopefully he can share a lot of his knowledge. And, hopefully, like I said, just keep the 3 quarterbacks on the roster, allow them to learn, throw them in there in preseason, have a few splash plays, and just, when the season starts, kind of put him on the back burner. Hopefully we can see a little potential in the preseason and then kind of be done with it and have him behind the scenes. And like Corey said, not really not really have the fans as potential controversy, you know what I'm saying, or quarterback competition or something like that. So that's kind of my feeling on that.
I got a question with that, Ricky. I agree with you. Probably carry 3, and Logan be the 2. But my question with that, have we actually seen Logan in regular season action?
Not that I can remember.
So we don't really know what Logan can do if he's thrown into the fire.
That's true.
You would hope the coaches would know.
No,
he got a lot of potential.
They may know during practice, but I'm talking about thrown into that game fire. That's a totally different animal.
Yeah. Right. And to that point, Tay, Malik would be more recent as far as having those game time situation. It would be he would have more experience. He would have more recent relevant experience than I never thought about that.
I'm just saying that if anything was to happen to Tannehill, either one of them, we're looking at a guy that doesn't have game time experience, regular season game time experience.
Yeah,
that's true.
You got a lot of hopes, and you don't want to mess him up.
Yeah, you don't want to.
That's the fears.
Yeah, I think that's my
Having looking for things that's not there.
You're willing to mess Logan up instead.
Yeah, Malik has more potential to be our future than Logan would.
And I'll finish. I'll go ahead and finish with this question, and it's for all 3 of you. And we'll start with Ricky and work our way down. What are your expectations for Malik Willis in year 1? What do you want him to come through with after this season's done?
Just once again, just soaking in knowledge and learning how to be a professional. Whether it's reading defenses or just, I think in college he may have had. I think some of the scouting was he couldn't throw to one side of the field. Just being able to open up the field for him and have better vision and just knowing the playbook. I mean, that's about it for me. I just want him to mature and learn how to be a pro in year 1.
I agree, Ricky. Just study. Stay in the film room. Be the first one in there, the last one out kind of guy. Hold that clipboard on Sundays. When Tannehill's coming over, looking at the tablet with the coaches, be there, listening, know what's going on. I think they'll have the earpiece in when the plays are called in, know what plays are being called, maybe, while he's on the sideline looking at the defense, see what's going on. Just learn this year, soak everything up. Like Ricky said, show them that you're the quarterback for the future. If it's not next year or the year, it's going to definitely be the next year after.
Yeah.
I agree with all those points. Chemistry in the locker room, relationships with the guys, becoming that leader without having to actually be the starter. You can act a certain way. You can start to take over the locker room, not in a controversial way, but just as a confident leader type of way. You got to lead by example. And a great way to do that is, like Tate said, stand and getting to work, doing extra work, and being a sponge.
Yeah.
That'll be a successful rookie campaign by the quarterback.
And all of those great points. I think one thing we forget as fans is, as anxious as we are to see a new player come in and potentially see if they can turn this franchise around, maybe even elevate it to a point that it's never been to, we forget even the greats actually sat down and learned. Tom Brady didn't get on the field until year 2, until he was forced to. Patrick Mahomes didn't get on the field until year 2, where they moved on from their former starter. it's all about building the right mindset for your player. If you get them in a situation where they're ready when they need to be ready, then they can shine. I think everything, especially in some circumstances, you have to hope works out for the best. You have to have the right head coach. You have to have the right coordinator. You have to have the right offensive line and even playmakers. That always makes the difference going forward. As one of my old high school coaches used to tell me, if you're a quarterback and you see the safety pull up and you don't know what to call, you're playing the wrong position.
Correct.
So in the terms of Malik Willis, what he can do and what he should do, I'm all for him sitting on the bench. I don't want to see gadget plays, in my opinion. I don't want to put him out in any position that's going to hinder his learning curve.
Right.
By the time he learns how to read a defense and how to call an audible and how to make reads down the field precisely, that's the time he needs to be in as quarterback.
Agreed.
Well, guys, I want to thank everybody for joining us on tonight's show. I especially want to thank Ricky Tay and Corey from PHONIES Podcast. Make sure you check them out on their formats. Ricky, I'll let you give a shout out to the fans and let them know where to find all your great content.
Appreciate you, first of all, Mike, for allowing us to participate in this. We need to do it more often, I think. But everybody out there can find us on all podcast platforms. Like Corey said, Apple, of course, Spotify. We're on IG, Facebook, Twitter. At what is it? At 4 Phonies, the number 4 Phonies. You can reach us on all platforms. And on the podcast, it may be best to type in the number 4 Phonies Talking Titans in order to find us out there. So we're out there and look forward to a lot more content coming through from us.
And it's Phonies. That's Phonies with PH, not an F. Just in case you don't know how to spell Phonies. That's not a word we spell every day. It's PHONIES.
Yep.
Thanks for that, Corey.
Absolutely. At least
And guys, believe me, you're no phonies to me. You bring the legit information that people are looking for. And I love having you on the show. And I'm very excited to get you back on for the regular season. So we are going to make sure that happens for sure.
All right.
Thanks, Mike. Tighten up.
Mike.
Thank you guys once again. And to everybody watching tonight, thank you for joining us on the show tonight. And don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that little subscribe button for me. Turn that red gray. That's what you need to do. And don't forget, if you love the show, help it grow. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and TikTok at the Power Hour 615, because sharing is caring. And we love doing this for you every time you come on and watch us. We're here to entertain. That's what the show is all about. So we wish you all a good night. And from the 4 Phonies, from Rick Tay and Corey, I'm Michael Bishop of the Power Hour. Take care. Tighten up.
Tighten up.
Tighten up.